Oh, dude.
Welcome back to Knocked Up Outdoors, and thank you guys for tuning into another how-to video. If you guys are enjoying this content, make sure that you hit that like button, ring that bell, and smash that subscribe so you don't miss any future content, and let me know you guys are actually getting something out of these videos. That would be awesome. In this video, I'm going to teach you how to build an arrow. So sometimes arrows come just right out of the box and they got vanes and tips and they're all ready to rock and roll. But if you want to really hone in and customize your setup and build a perfect arrow for either a 3D course or maybe a total archery challenge or hunting, you're probably going to want to build your own arrows for your bow. So I'm going to teach you how to use a Bitzenburger and put inserts in, fletch the arrow, all sorts of good stuff. Let's go over some of the things that you're going to need to get this done efficiently. It's going to seem like a lot of stuff, but you'll have control of every aspect, so it's super nice. First and foremost, the thing that you're going to need is a Bitzenburger fletching jig. There are a bunch of different jigs out on the market. This is industry standard. So if you really want to get into this and you're not just fletching a few arrows here and there, just invest and buy one. You're going to need arrow tip inserts, your vanes of your choice, tack primer pin and glue, Pine Ridge insert glue for the inserts, a couple Q-tips, and last but not least is a mouse pad. Now those are all of your necessary items. You've got some recommended items that I'll talk about into if you want to put arrow wraps on your arrows, different colored nocks other than the standard that comes with. You might need a boning defletching tool if you're going to take the fletchings off of current arrows and build them from scratch. I would recommend just buying bare arrows if you are going to build them yourself instead of just flinging vanes and wasting the time and energy to do that, but it's not always an option, so you might need one of these. A few paper towels just keeps your workspace nice and neat and clean. And last but certainly not least, I put it under the recommended because you don't need all of them, but you need the clamp jigs that come with, you have to buy them separately, but come with the Bitzenburger jig. So they come in left helical, right helical, and straight fletching. The only way that you're going to know how to fletch your arrows is by shooting bare shafts. So depending on which way you like to fletch your arrows, or they're fletched in the past, if you want to do an offset or anything like that on a straight fletch, or just do a left helical with an offset, it kind of depends on your setup and what you really want to do. Let me get set up here and I'll bring you guys in at a different angle so you can see everything that I'm working on real quick. Let's go over arrow wraps first if you guys are going to do those. So these are the boning arrow wraps. They come in different diameters to fit whatever arrow you're doing. In this case, I'm building some RIP TKOs, which are a little smaller diameter arrow. You can find standard size, or you can get whatever fits your arrow. I would suggest getting the closest fit, that way you don't have too much overlap in your wrap. In order to wrap these, if you've never done it, if you're using a bare shaft, this came unfletched right from Lancaster Archery, and so I know that it's nice and clean and we are good to go. If you're taking the fletchings off of different arrows, you're going to want to use a little isopropyl alcohol, warm water, something after you scrape those off to get this nice and clean. Make sure you're starting with a bare shaft and there's no glue residue left over from your previous vanes or anything like that. Let's assume you've got that and you're starting with the bare shaft. The first thing you want to do is take out your arrow nock, place it off to the side so you don't have anything in there. These come on a little piece of wax paper. Just peel them off. In my case, I like the logo to be up because it matches with the back side of my vane that you'll see here in a second. This is when your mouse pad comes in handy. I like to keep mine all the same consistency. So you're going to line up your arrow however you like. Make sure it's the same distance away from your sticky pad. Line it up with the end of the arrow as best as you can. Make sure you're even. And then you just get a nice consistent roll out on it, and then just go back and forth on your pad. Heat up that activation glue, and you are good to go. So there you go. You have arrow wrapped all the way to the end. Minimal overlap because we got the correct size, and you're ready for the next step. I bought these black knocks. The next thing that I like to do is go ahead and put the knock in where it needs to go. So instead of using the yellow one that came with it, I like to switch it over to black ones or whatever color you want. Again, those are optional to switch over. So I just set that in there for now. We're going to have to mess with it when we put it in the Bitzenburger here in just a second. Flipping the arrow over before we get into fletching, let's talk about inserts. You're going to have inserts in every one of your arrows. This is the threaded portion that your field tip or your broadhead goes into in order to actually shoot your arrow. So you can see it's hollow on the inside, and this slides in that way and fits over the edge of my arrow just like that, so I can thread whatever I need to onto that. If you're using a standard diameter shaft arrow, this is not going to flare out as much. As you can see, it's bigger, but this Rip TKO is a smaller outside diameter, so these are actually called outserts. Either way, you're going to have some sort of insert or outsert that goes into, and they're pretty simple to take care of. Before you get rocking and rolling on this, take one of your paper towels, get it wet. That way you can wipe off any excess insert glue. It's a pretty simple process here. Just take your insert glue. You're going to want to dab on the very end here. I like to come up here to the thicker part of the shaft, spread out a little bit of glue there. That way you have it all around the outside. Go right into the end of your arrow shaft and make sure you're twisting as you go in to get the glue everywhere, all the way down to the bottom, and press firmly onto a hard surface for 5 or 6 seconds. Get that glue everywhere. And then if you have any excess that you need to wipe off, looks like we did it pretty good on this one, take your wet paper towel, spin it around, and there you have it. Now we are ready to hop over to the Bitzenburger and put some fletchings on this bad boy. This is the Bitzenburger fletching tool. You can buy the left helical straight or right helical clamps for it. In this case, I'm going with left helical. I'll get into the reason why here in a second. But a few things on how to use this. You've got these 3 are Allen wrench inserts here that can be used. You're working with a 120 degree, a 90 degree, and a 75-105. So 3 fletch and then 2 different types of 4 fletching that you can do. Most of the time you're just going to be using the 3 fletch, which is this top. So you want to make sure that these 2 Allen screws are pulled all the way out, and then this one is sunk all the way in. You can see how the bottom 2 are out there. What this allows you to do is this knob here will turn and click in 3 different locations. It's nice and firm, it clicks into place, and you know that you're turning exactly 120 degrees, so that way all of your arrows are perfect. Now on the side here, you've got a couple different knobs, a lower knob and an upper knob that are also controlled by 2 Allen marks. This bottom one, there's a center line on it that is corresponded to a tick mark here. I keep that one always straight up and down, lined up, 0 degree offset on the bottom, because really you only need to mess with the top of the vane when you're talking about offset. This top one, again, comes with a center tick mark and then another tick mark right above the knob. This will twist back and forth. So you're at 0, and then I wrote these in. This doesn't come on at 3 degrees, and then about midway is a 1.5 degrees. So I know where I like to fletch my arrows and the way that they fly. So depending on what kind of offset you want on your helical or on your straight clamp, you will spin this back and forth and get a 3 degree, 2 degree, 1 degree, or a straight fletch, which I don't recommend, but you can also do it that way. Bitzenburger clamp. Just a big old chip clip, if you will. You can see this one is helically twisted in the left direction. The straight one is straight and the right one is twisted in the other direction. It comes with these little tick marks on the side here, so you can line up your vane consistently every single time. And then on the back you've got a metal plate here that attaches to these magnets. So that's how this clamp works, is you've got your fletching here, you got your magnets, sync it up, and it's the same every time and allows constant pressure to be put on that arrow, which I'll show you in a second. Okay, so before we get into fletching these arrows, we need to chit chat about a couple things. Your helical. What you should do, and I highly recommend you do, is if you don't have arrow wraps, or if you do have arrow wraps, I like to put the logo, the boning logo, straight up, knock it into my arrow, and shoot this arrow bare shafted, no vanes, into a target. What's going to happen is this arrow is going to want to spin right or left naturally without any fletchings on it. And that has to do with a lot of different factors, but mostly your string twist on your bow. So think about it this way. If I shoot this arrow bare shafted off of my bow without fletchings, and it naturally wants to spin left without any fletchings, I'm not going to put a right helical on it, so that way when it comes out of my bow, I'm fighting the natural left twist and wanting it to turn back right. What would make more sense is if I know that naturally this arrow wants to turn left, is I put a left helical on it, and that when that arrow comes out of that string, it's already spinning in the direction. You get a much more consistent flight pattern of what you need to do. So before you get into fletching, make yourself a tick mark with a Sharpie, use these arrow wraps, and go out and shoot a bare shafted, just like you would on a chronograph. A couple yards away is all you need, so you know you're not going to miss the target. And that arrow will hit the target in about this direction or in about this direction, and you know which way you need to fletch your vanes. In this case, I know that these arrows shoot in a left helical pattern because I've already bare shaft tuned them. So we are going to fletch these in a left helical. Now, a left helical already has, like we've seen, some twist into it. I also like to put an offset in my arrow of about 1.5 degrees, 2 degrees, somewhere in the middle of that. So not only am I getting the left helical twist, I'm also moving, let's say the bottom of my vane starts in the middle of this logo, the end of it is going to end up to the left side of this arrow. So I'm getting a twist for the arrow to end up similarly like this. Now this is a different arrow, but you're going to see here that it's going to end up similarly like this. So you've got a helical pattern on these vanes here. So if you can see down the shaft of this arrow, how the back side of this fletching here is farther to the right than the front side is, that's called an offset. We're just doing a helical, it's just going to be a straight fletch, and it's going to put twist and bend into these vanes. But I like to put that little 2 degree offset in it. It helps stabilize the arrow in flight, and it's just typically industry standard to put some sort of offset so that way your arrow flies a little bit straighter. So in this case, I'm putting about a 2 degree left helical offset on this arrow. Next step in the process is inside of your Bitzenburger tool. You can see there's this little V-shaped piece of metal inside the bottom hole. This knock will sit and clamp into the bottom V-shaped piece of metal, so that arrow is not going to spin and it's not going anywhere, right? Before we can jump into fletching these arrows, there's another very important piece of where your cock feather or cock vane is going to go. On these particular arrows, the RIP TKOs, spine aligned. So this is the spine of the arrow. From tip to tip, this is the strongest point of the arrow. Typically what you want is for that to be facing directly up or down when you are sitting in your knock point on your bow. It is advantageous to you on this spine to get your vane to be directly down that spine when it comes out of your arrow. So your cock vane is up, and so is your spine aligned is up. That way your arrow bends in the same direction every single time. So let's pop this back into here. Knowing what I just told you, needing to align the spine of this arrow up with the cock fletching, what we're going to do is I'm going to spin this arrow around until the spine is up. So in this case, I've got my spine right here. Now I've fletched these arrows before, so I know that I want to align the back of my fletching. Your fletching is just going to clamp right in there. That needs to be pushed up like this in order to install, which I'll go over in a minute, but just for demonstration purposes, it clamps in there like this, and then you've got these tick marks on the side that you want to line up the back of your vane with one of the tick marks. That way it's consistent on your arrow shaft every time. If you don't know where you want to place that arrow, my suggestion is you just place it in the same location as the arrow as it was fletched in the first place. Take a measurement of it before you cut the vanes off, and then you can go from there. My liking is this second tick mark on the back side. It seems to line up with the bottom of this boning logo pretty dang good. So that way it gives it a nice consistent look, and it's pretty close to what stock would be, and it flies really well. So that's what works for me. What we do next is we grab our tack primer pin. Now I'm not using tack vanes, but this stuff is just amazing and works really, really well. So what you want to do is you just take this, couple swipes back and forth here, and you grab your tack glue, comes with the same package, and you just put a little bead of glue on the vane. Spread out the glue. Now, this portion will clip on to these magnets. So that clips on just like that, and as you can see, we're not making contact yet. You're going to seat the jig all the way down to the bottom to where it's touching. You can see there it's touching. And then you will turn this around this way. You will fold this in nice and tight on that magnet. Let it sit there for 20-30 seconds, and then we can come in here, unclamp, and pull this off. This is where your Q-tips come in handy. So typically you're going to have a little bit of excess glue. Just wipe that up both sides. That way you get a nice clean look and you don't have to worry about any residual glue coming out. And now we have our cock vane seated right with our spine, and we can move on to the next two. In order to move on, it's super simple. So this knob locked in, we just spin it to our left, and you'll hear a click. We got the click, and now we're locked back in again. And then we just repeat the same process. So clean up our edges. And we just slide this out of the jig. So we can set that off to the side. There you have it. That's it. Dominated it. So we put our insert in, put our arrow wrap, fletched our arrow, nice with helical on the left side, threw new nocks in, and we have built ourselves a dart for what we are needing to use it for. In this case, I'm going long range, building these arrows for the Total Archery Challenge. Now I just got to do it 11 more times for my dozen. So hopefully you guys learned something from this video. If you did, make sure you let me know in the comments. And if you got any questions for me about how to use the Bitzenburger, or what vanes are the best, or just in general what you need to use on your arrows, or if you want me to build some arrows for you, let me know in the comments below, and I will catch you guys next time. Y'all stay knocked up.